Right, it's going to show up that you're going live because I need to share it.
It says live on Facebook on here. So we are now streaming, even though Zoom is taking a minute to load on to the computer. So let's go ahead and check, make sure everybody can find us. Hello, if you're joining us and you're watching this part of us trying to figure out how we're doing things.
Found us.
All right.
I'm just going to share this.
There we are. Okay. Cool. So then, are you in a good place to monitor comments and stuff?
I could be. I'm just trying to get it off. I showed it to the wrong place.
Okay. Can you find it on my business page? There's like, when you first get to my business page, it says happening now and it has this live. And then if you scroll down a little bit further under like new posts, you'll see my pinned post and then you'll see this live as a post, and that one you can share.
Okay, that's what's happening here then.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to scroll down because like they're doing a little bit different. All right.
All right, I've got that. Let me just see if it's allowing to share it properly.
Oh, I can hear myself from your end.
Sorry, you got to I'm on off.
You're playing the live. I see people are like, oh no, we have feedback. I need to go get my headphones and stuff. No,
that was me. Sorry, I completely forgot what I was doing. So I'm just going to put this onto the Spiritual Fair Lady page.
I feel like lives are so fun because they are live, and I know like we often feel like we have to perform while we're here, but also too like we can just be real and in the moment with things, and I think that's super exciting. We can just be chill, which is exciting because today we're going to new moon, which I don't know. We were talking a lot about before we got on here about intentions for our business and what we want, and that's kind of what the theme of this new moon is going to be, is setting intentions, especially for our business and our career and what we're working towards.
Right, I'm typing something. I don't know if it's making much sense. And then I'm going to share that. And then one more time into the group. And then we should be ready to go.
All right.
I think I should be able to see the comments.
Okay.
One more time. Sorry for the delay, everybody.
No worries. Just make sure you fast forward a little bit until we start talking more. If you're on the replay, that is.
Oops, where's it gone? Right, I think it's allowed me to do that. I think I shared it in the wrong place earlier on, so I'm just going to double check. Okay, it should be fine.
All right, are we ready?
Yep.
All right. So hello and welcome everybody. Today we're going to talk about the new moon in Capricorn. It is happening tonight on the cusp between Tuesday and Wednesday. So it's Wednesday at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe that is 5 a.m. your time Wednesday. So if you're from the UK, like Yvette, it's about 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit, what it means to be a new moon, what it means to be the new moon in Capricorn, what kind of flowers are here to support you, and then also to breaking that down by element. So what does it mean for fire signs, earth signs, air signs, and water signs for this new moon to be here, and what flowers can support these individual signs as well too. So we have today Yvette, the spiritual flower lady, and she works with healers and beautiful souls who are all about getting that self-care and that tending to needs. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what you do, Yvette?
So hello, and I'm on Katie's page today, which is really wonderful. We've had problems in the past, but here we are. So it's like Katie said, spiritual flower lady, and I work with the energy of flowers, and that's in everything that I do. So it's my soul's purpose kind of to get everybody to see the beauty of flowers with not just our eyes, but to find that loving energy that hides behind it. So flowers give us messages, and there's meanings behind each one. And I'm here to share that with everybody. So how I do that is through flower card readings, flower healing sessions, one-to-one programs, workshops. I do flower arrangements, so anything that is in those flowers are going to have some flowers that are going to represent the energy that you're trying to convey, whether it's in business, weddings, funerals, any kind of event. There'll be flower in there that's going to share its energy with you and what you're trying to convey, the messages you're trying to give out.
I love that. And I think that's wonderful that flowers can really show up in any realm. You said business, which I think is something that we don't normally think of being a florally, flowery place, but there absolutely is a place. I think that's super exciting.
Yeah, giving a flower on the wall is talking to us.
Yes. And so for those who don't know me, I'm Katie Turner, and I know your vibes astrology. So I'm an astrologer, mostly spiritual, focused on that. There's a little bit of like intuitiveness in there as well. When I read your birth chart, we tap into what your planets are wanting for you, but also to what are the transits saying, and what are you currently moving through, and how is that affecting how you show up as who you are in this world. I'm also a twin flame coach. So if you are in the twin flame journey, I need a little support in that is also available to you. And yeah, I just like to share the cosmic energies and how understanding yourself, understanding what we're moving through, the intentions and the purposes of that, how that process can really unlock healing for you, living authentically for you, and just being able to express more and more of yourself into this world. So if you are on the replay, #replay, let us know that you are watching. Feel free to ask any questions. If you want to replay, we'll come back and circle through and answer them. And if you're on live with us, feel free to ask questions as well too, and let us know what's going on in your world, what resonates, what doesn't, where you're focusing. I think I actually said a curse word. I was trying to be focusing, where you're focusing your energy on for this new moon. And let's say your intentions. So new moons are a time for setting intentions. It's when the sun, our heart, our creative focus, and the moon, our emotions, and our internal, like kind of fertile soil, is where we plant things, where we nurture things, where we tend to the little things, where those two energies are in the exact same part in the sky. So when they're in the same part of the sky, they can kind of communicate more clearly what it is they want, what it is they need, and set those intentions, plant those seeds, because the sun will kind of stay almost not still, but it's moving slower. And as the sun moves, the moon's going to move around. And so this is that touching base. Let's set our intentions. Here's the full moon. Let's celebrate them. We'll come back in, set our intentions, and go through that process. So we're in that kind of setting intention phase where they're in sync, where they're lining up our wants, our desires, our needs, and what we have available to tend to things and grow. They're all in alignment right now. This particular new moon is really special for the fact that it's the first one of the new year. So this is our first chance, besides like, New Year's intentions in the first place, to really set our intentions and to align ourselves with this practice of asking for what we want, even before it gets here, and then releasing and trusting that it's going to get here, that it's going to journey, that's going to kind of manifest. But also too, it's in Capricorn next to Pluto, who was a really big player last year when we had Saturn and Jupiter and Capricorn as well with Pluto. We saw a lot of his energy. So we'll talk a little bit more about Pluto as well and why that makes this new moon so special. But before we do, I want to kind of talk a little bit about the Capricorn energy. So Capricorn is the top of the wheel, the chart of the zodiac signs. And so it's not the end of the journey, but it's the top, it's the peak of this journey. And so it kind of represents the peak of who we are. It's this area of ourselves that we work really hard for, that takes us time and development and hard work to get to this expression of this top of the chart. It rules your career. It rules your public reputation. So one thing that I noticed for myself with this energy a lot was related to where I felt I should be somebody and where I want to be someone else, and then who I actually am in the middle. So like you have your up to, who you feel like you should be, your actual self, and then your real self. And so this new moon is a good time to set intentions for really your real self what you want to be, and then examine those ought tos. If there's something out of duty that you really do want to, it's in your ideal self as well, you meet those duties, then let that be your intentions. But if you are having expectations for yourself, career-wise, reputation-wise, and how hard you work, your ambitions that are set by someone else or set by societal standards of what you should do and be, let those go. Those are important to kind of release. But yeah, so it's kind of straightforward when you talk about the career energy. It's the future energy. It's anything that we can spend a lot of time working towards. So Capricorn works in like 30-year phases. And so that's a long time to invest in something. That doesn't mean that it's going to take 30 years for the things that you ask for in this new moon to manifest. But it is okay to embrace that it might take time, and that it might not be an instant reward for what you're doing. It's delayed gratification. And if you can lean into that delayed gratification and trust that it's going to happen, that's really what goes a long way with this Capricorn energy. But Pluto brings in kind of another element into this as well. So Pluto, I think, as a tool is really here for healing and for empowerment, but the process to get there can be a little bit tricky. So Pluto tends to tear everything down. He's the god of the underworld, so he has no problem with death and loss and stripping things bare. But from that, you have fertilizer, right? When we talk about decaying material, we use that decaying material to then fertilize something else. And so there is this fertilization, this promise of what's to come. It's not just death, it's also rebirth and life. And so this Pluto energy is really here about bringing things down so we can get in touch with what is in our underworld, what is in our shadows. So I talked a little bit about expectations we have for ourselves. That would be this Pluto work, the shadow work of really fighting for empowerment and how confident you feel in your career direction you're taking things, or what you're working hard for in your life. It's a way to uncover your fears as well too. So I mentioned that Pluto was a big player last year, and I think a lot of people last year kind of learned to be a little afraid of the future and trusting what's to come, because we saw a lot of Pluto's work of tearing things down, showing us the shadows, and that's not the whole journey, right? We still have to rebuild from that. We still have to rebirth from that process. But if we get fixed in that tearing down and we think that's all that there is, we won't believe in the what's next. And I think that's something that this new moon is in a position for, is where can you, as you set intentions for your future and what you want, especially with the realm of career, business, public reputation, your future, your sense of security, as you do all of that, how can you also make it a point to do that necessary shadow work to release any fears, any doubts, any, maybe abusive statements that you say to yourself or someone else says to you? If you were to hear yourself talk to yourself, sometimes we talk to ourselves in a really negative way. So like if you're always shooting yourself down, or you're always tearing yourself down, telling yourself you're not doing enough, if that was our partner, we would say that's not okay, that's unacceptable, we deserve better. So we deserve better from ourselves, that as well too. So this intention, it's not just about setting intentions, but it's also about doing the healing work so we can believe in those intentions, so we can fertilize those intentions and feel empowered by them, rather than being like, these are a pipe dream, will it really actually happen? No, we know it will happen. It might be hard, we might have to really work for it, but we can do it. And Pluto also brings a sense of like destiny as well. It brings a sense of really deep, passionate purpose. You can almost get obsessive with the intentions behind living authentically. Once you unlock that like power center of Pluto, you just want to show up fully, wholeheartedly as who you are. And so if you are having a hard time tapping into that energy, that could be a good sign to still do some digging. Dig into, what do you really feel like your purpose is here? What do you really feel like you need to deliver and bring to the world, especially within the realm of Capricorn, of career, of business, of reputation? What do you want to leave as your mark on society? That's what public reputation is, right? It's who we are and our identity that we share with the world. And other people's reputations inform us about what the world is and what can be. And so if your reputation is a little bit different, or, like for me, I'm an astrologer. That's very different from what, I think people expected for me. But if I can show people that you can do that, you can own it, you can be proud, and you can be successful in that, then they can maybe open up their minds as well too, and think, maybe I can do something different. Maybe I can kind of change the world in my own way. And so whatever it is that you find as your destiny, if you can embody that, it also heals other people. I'm very interested, Yvette, to find out what flowers you have as being supportive during this time, which I think really fit our conversation beforehand. And like, we were both going through this kind of energy, like we want to set our new intentions, but not really feeling totally empowered to do so. But we were able to shift that, I think, as well.
I love what you're saying there, because it's both the flower that's come up for today is really, both flowers seem to sort of match Capricorn, but the main flower for this new moon really does match Pluto as well, and it's all about us being our true selves. And that's speaking of the Capricorn age, about being patient, because it's not going to, not going to take 30 years, but it's not going to take as long as you think it might take, but it's going to take some time for you to get to who you want to be. And that's what the begonia that I got was for the flower for the energy of the month, which was all about being patient and just taking it easy, sitting back and being a bit calmer about it. But today's flower from the new moon is the Waratah, which is all about being you. It's becoming the true you. It's now stepping forward and showing the world who you truly are. Dropping down any veils, stepping from behind any curtains that you've been hiding behind, and just really finding who you are and what you need to say. And this also takes back to the daffodil, which I released today as the energy for this week, which is still kind of based around that new moon, because that's built up towards it. And it's finding the words that you're speaking, and it's a case of speaking from your heart. Although the daffodil talks a lot about speaking with love, but it's also a flower for communication. So that encompassed with the Waratah is getting you to really, this is kind of like really a root chakra color, isn't it? That this is your foundation. You're still going to start stepping forward in who you want to be. So that's when you're building your intentions, finding ways to communicate with that daffodil energy. And with the Waratah, just really showing, step back, step out, and show who you truly are. And kind of work on who you truly are. Like you were saying about we look at how other people are, and that's their energy, that's the vibration that they're putting off. And it's like people, feel that vibration and feel into their energy. But we all have a different vibration, just like I love to refer to the penguins. They have their little love song. We've all got this love song within us, our vibration that somebody's going to pick up on. So whoever's following somebody that you're admiring might not necessarily follow you, but there might be somebody else that they know that might pick up on your vibrations and sort of say, oh, look what she's doing. So, just keep singing your song and keep doing you, because somebody will find you. It might not be millions. You might just be there for the thousands or a couple of hundred people that just need to hear what you've got to say or feel what you've got to do. So that's what, that's the energy I'm getting with all the flower messages and the flowers that are coming up for me.
I love that.
We've got Roxanne here saying hello to us. Good morning.
Hello, Roxanne.
Good evening for me.
Ooh, we do have good numbers. Yes. It's the 1, 12, 21. So we got lots of ones and twos, which is, I think, fits this energy as well too, because ones are new beginnings, and two is like finding that stability and starting to kind of find the balance of both feet on the ground to support the new beginnings we're taking. And I think that's what this new moon is asking us. Yeah, there's new beginnings, but they're not new in the sense that it's like day one. We're setting new intentions, but we've been on this journey for a minute. We've already been thinking about what we want to do and where we want to go with things. This is just kind of solidifying it. And I love so much that the flowers are like, be yourself as you do this. Be authentic as you do this. I think that's something that can take so much courage and strength to do, is be yourself in light of that top of the chart, publicly exposed to the world, like being seen. That's hard. That's very hard to be seen by the world and open yourself up to that vulnerability. But when we can be authentic, like that's the good stuff. Yeah. I love that. I love that. All right. So are we ready to dive into the signs?
Yes.
Right. So we're going to go through them by element. That way it's a little easier to talk about all the signs and hit on what you're moving through. But then you can still kind of make it more specific and more personal to you than just that general message, which we all will feel, just in our own different ways. So we'll start with the earth signs, because this is an earth new moon. Capricorn's an earth sign. Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And so they typically are very practical oriented, They're about the physical and what are you physically making and manifesting and building for yourself. They're very dutiful as well. They take care of the necessities and the needs you have. Taurus, like your money and your resources. Virgo's your work and your daily routine. And Capricorn is that career and your overarching goals you're building towards. So they kind of play the story of like, how do you support yourself physically each and every day. And I also like to point out too, because sometimes people can think earth signs can be kind of boring. They're not. They're also very magical. You think about the wonders of earth. So we have like so many cool things about nature, different processes that, you know, function and how they move. We have this animal kingdom and animal system where we see all these different types of life forms that exist. Inside the earth, you have crystals and you have minerals and resources of that nature. And even when it comes to like plants and plant life, there's magic and medicine to plants as well too. So I think that the earth signs can be very oriented towards healing and nurturing through those physical earthly means as well too. So if you're earth sign and you're like, oh, I don't want to just be work, you don't have to. You can add in those other elements too. But this new moon for the earth signs is going to be happening in fire houses, which means it's going to be more about personal identity, self-expression, and your belief system. So this is really going to be a time period for you to harness who you are, what you want, and root into that. That to me feels like the very most important part of this energy is how are you rooting into who you are, taking a stand for who you are, building on, like you said, like the daffodil of speaking from your heart and being authentic. How can you really ground into that and infiltrate that energy into what these earth signs rule, which is, like I said, the medicines of the earth and the resources of the earth, but also to your work, your career plans, how you fund yourself and how you support yourself. Are you supporting yourself with the empowerment of who you are? When you're feeling down about your capabilities, you remind yourself of how strong you are and what you're capable of, and your identity and what makes your heart sing. And all of those are reasons why you're where you need to be and why your intentions you're wanting to set are valid and worthy to express and to live and to be. This is a time as well too, I think, to think about long term. What do you need to do to almost polish who you are, how you show up in this world, and how you express yourself and your belief systems? What do you need to polish that to really support long term? So I think about, and one area, your mantras, like how do you speak to yourself? What kind of mindset do you have? How do you speak positive perspectives and positive outlooks on yourself? If you're feeling discouraged about something, can you shift that energy and say, you know, block is not a no, it's just a challenge to get there. And it's going to help you grow and learn and develop your sense of self. You know, like how can you kind of frame the energy so that it supports longevity and it supports that manifestation of self over time? Does that make sense? I'm very curious to see what flowers support these earth signs as they're grounding into who they are, and working hard to do that and thinking long term and almost like professionally grounding into who you are. Is that but this we still have the Capricorn outward self.
So really, for the earth sign, it is. Let's just come back
Love
again.
it. I love
So that
it.
is truly is. But when you were speaking there, I just kept hearing kind of like be patient and taking your time. So don't worry. No, like you're saying, get that plan. It doesn't have to be a year's plan. You might have an idea of what you want to be at the end of the year, or where you want to, you know, because so many people have like 3-year plans, 5 years plans, and when they don't make it, when they haven't got to where they want, they kind of beat themselves up about it. But this is like, you know, have a year plan or 6-month plan, but break it down, and revisit. You can break it up to quarterly. You know, every 4 months, look at what you wanted to be, or who you wanted to become, or what it is that you wanted to do that's going to enhance who you really want to be, and then revisit it. Because we have a tendency, and I was saying to you this the other day, wasn't I? I wrote so much down of what I wanted to be doing throughout last year, that I forgot to go back and revisit some of the points. And at the end of the year, oh no, I didn't get back to doing, revisiting and fleshing out some other things I wanted to do. So with the Warrior Tarot, it is about, you are who you are, but really get to the root of who you are and what you want to be. But don't rush it. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so just take your time and build up on who you are, and just do it from a place of love as well. You know, don't keep looking at how people are and reflecting on, oh, I should be like them. At the end of the day, we're all different, we're all unique. We all can send out bundles and, bundles and bundles of love to people, but some people do it more, they express themselves differently. So this is the other thing, you've got to make sure you express yourself in the way that you want to be, because we have a tendency to watch people and copy what they are. You might have elements of their traits, but you are you. So if you kind of are awkward in the way you deliver something, that's your uniqueness. Somebody might go, I like the way that you kind of want to say it, but you don't say it, or you get it out in this kind of quirky little way. So just be who you are, whatever way it kind of turns out for you.
I love that. And I love that invitation to just take the space and the time to do so and to be who you are. I think it's a beautiful message for the earth signs. And that is for your sun, moon, rising. If you're more interested in like career, I suggest looking at your Saturn sign. If you're more interested in relationships, look at your Venus sign for like more nuanced messages. But I think I love it. I'm so excited. And I love that they have the exact same flower, because it's in the energy. It's theirs. Yeah. This new moon.
We said it kind of that root chakra, that root side to yourself, and you were speaking about the earth signs that, it's all earthly roots.
It's so rooted. Yeah.
So that's all that's in with it. I'm just checking if anyone has posted a message. We've got Taylor C. Good morning.
Good morning
to you. Everyone's waking up.
Yes. It still feels like morning here. It's 12:30, but it feels like morning here for sure.
Darkness outside here.
Oh yeah, because the sunset, so we're in the days in a winter time period for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is something this new moon is in the winter time. And I think that's something that speaks to the fact that we might be feeling like it's harder to have hope in the winter time. You look out in the trees, there's no leaves. There's no flowers, there's no fruit that's budding. Like there's some winter, you have evergreens, you have some plants that can, bloom in the winter, but we don't see that as much. We see everything stripped down, stripped bare. And in a way, we kind of have to strip ourselves bare in a lot of ways too, and focus not so much on what we're producing, but the intentions we're setting for that production. Like there's a hibernation, that there's a rest period with winter. There's a going and retreating. There's releasing what no longer serves. There's out with the old. There's benefits to that process, that season, even if it's a little tougher when it comes to mentality, I think, living in it. But yeah. So then next we can do air signs. And air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. These are our social crew, those that like to transmute information, conceptualize ideas, communicate, express. That throat chakra, I already feel it kind of glowing right now, just talking about these air signs. But it's not just about communication, it's about relationships. Air signs are those who really do bond with other people and interact with other people. And that's what communication's for, right? Communication would only serve us so much if we were just by ourselves. Like, yeah, it's helpful to write down ideas. You don't have to hold them in your brain forever. But communication is about sharing with other people and expanding in that way. So for the air signs, this is going to be in the watery houses. So this is going to be more about, oh, it's Tier. Hi, Tier. I'm so glad you're here. Yes, it is you. You're an Aquarius. So this is going to be in water houses. So this is really speaking to your foundations of emotional support. So where earth signs are foundational and that practicality, that root chakra work, this is more wet in a sense. I almost see this image of like wet soil and just getting really in depth with how you're feeling and asking yourself those tough questions of not just like, how are you, but really like answering that. Not just, oh, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm wonderful. Like really, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Do you feel like you're getting enough support? Do you feel like you're getting enough love? Do you feel like you need reassurance that you're safe, that you're okay? I almost feel like this need for like a motherly hug with air signs. Like they just need a little bit of love, a little bit of support, a little bit of that, just, yeah, like the maternal support. I don't know how to put it in other words. Like it's that energy. And so for air signs, this is going to be, I think, because it's Capricorn's about the future and setting intentions for what you want for tomorrow. How can you make sure that you have emotional support in the future as well? So this to me, I think, speaks to what relationships you want to nurture. As an air sign, you have a lot of relationships. Relationships are important to you. They're easy to start and to, you know, explore, but not every relationship is going to have the same depth of quality of intimacy and connection, feeling like family, feeling like, you know, your soul sisters or soul family, or like they've changed you and they've made you a different person and shifted who you are. So it's those relationships, those deeper relationships, that you can set intentions to foster and to nurture during this time, and to breathe into those ones that really feel like they are kin for you. And I think as well too, if you have any blocks related to that energy, if you have any resistance to, maybe you had a really rough family upbringing, or you are afraid to let people in your little garden, you have your walls up when it comes to intimacy, you can have a conversation with someone, you can talk about their lives, but you don't really want to share too much about yourself or let someone in. If you're feeling like you have those blocks, this is a good time too, with that Pluto energy, to set intentions for breaking those down. So if you want more intimacy, but you feel like you're afraid to have it, set your intentions to learn what it's like to have intimacy in a safe way, or what it's like to have intimacy in a way that you feel nurtured and feel supported, and you don't feel like you're going to be hurt in the long run from that. So to me, it's really about like the quality of relationships and bringing in those depth of relationships. That doesn't mean that relationships that don't speak to those depths aren't valuable or aren't worthy. It's just that these are ones that are also important, and important in a different way. I'd love to hear what flower you get for this as well. And then Tier, you said Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, and I forgot. Yes, you have. So like her sun, moon, and rising, all air signs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of unique.
Yeah. So she's got a lot of air energy for her. So this air energy is perfect for you, Tier.
This is the air signs, isn't it? Around there. Oh, so we've got the African violet.
Ooh, I love
violet. And that's just about cleansing your energy, just clearing your energy. When you're speaking about the kind of like this motherly, lucky little hug, there's a couple of flowers that came, literally there's about 3 flowers that have come up for the air signs. So the agapanthus, probably another one, maybe 4. The African violet is getting you to clear your energy. So this new moon, just leading up to the new moon, I always feel there's a phase of this surrendering. So you're getting through, letting go of things, so that, you know, you're making space for the new things to come on. This is where the African violet, agapanthus, just keeps on coming out. That's the global energy. So it could be like, you know, this global energy that's going on. It's to clear this negative energy, just to cleanse your energy. It doesn't have to be negative, it could just be stagnant energy. It could just be you holding on to old thoughts, holding on to old things that you've got in your home. So it's just a case of clearing it out. And with the chrysanthemum, that is kind of bringing in that family energy, just bring you some harmony. And it does, when you're talking about, you know, motherly hug, chrysanthemum's like a big hug, just like a comforting flower for you. So just bring that in. When I do mention the flowers, if there is a flower that really you kind of, it relates to you and your sign and you really like it, I would suggest if you can't go out and buy them, then just bring that picture, find a picture of it on Google or anything, and bring it into your phone, or just download it somewhere that you can print it off, and just have that. It's almost like having the vase next to you with the flower in it. Just have that flower up, because that energy will, you know, kind of remind you just as you see the flower. So cleansing your energy, feeling that comfort of the chrysanthemums. The chrysanthemums come in all different shapes and sizes and colours, and so they're readily available at lots of petrol stations all year round. So you can always just buy a little bunch of those and stick them in the vase, and just, you know, remind you of that a little bit of comfort, that if you want to bring some, you know, food, like you need a little bit of a hug, just go and bring those in. And then magnolia was another flower that kept popping up, because you're talking about setting your intentions. That is a beautiful flower, because that's another mother tree. So this whole mother feeling is coming in for the air signs, in the sense that with magnolia, you set your intentions, and she kind of takes it down into her roots, and she just holds on to it, and then kind of releases it gently for you as you're kind of unraveling. She's taking on what you're really trying to bring in to your world. So there's a good couple of flowers there for them, but the main flower is the African violet, which is to really just clear away. So if you need to do some clearing up, decluttering. I know a lot of people do that around the full moon, but that's still a new moon energy, and it's getting rid of so that you can make room for new furniture or the new items of clothing or shoes that you need to bring in.
I love that energy. I think that it's so cool that there's so many flowers for air signs, because it just feels like a message of self-care and sitting to self. I wonder if maybe I don't have as much air in me. So like, I wonder if maybe air signs being so socially oriented, maybe they're really sensitive what's happening in the collective more so than other signs. And so if there's any discord socially, which we are experiencing in the society that we live in different societies we live in, that probably is wearing on them a little bit. So I love that self-care energy. And Tia said she's been cleaning everything as well too. So she's feeling that cleansing energy that you're getting. That processing. Yeah. So I think that's super cool. I love that for air signs. They get so many flowers. I love it. They're so bougie, but in a good way.
They need a lot.
Yeah, they do. And I think that's awesome. You get to treat yourself with a bouquet instead of just one single flower. It's a bouquet. I think it's cool. All right, so then next we can do water signs. So water signs are kind of sisters to the earth, or earth is the practical, water is the emotional. You kind of can get that energy from the air signs I was talking about. They are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So water is your emotions, it's your intimacy, your home, your connection to spirit, it's just this depth of self. It's your feeling-based energy, your intuition, your empathy, your psychic powers, those kind of energies. And so it's just this depth, this very sensitive place. This is happening in air signs, so it's kind of the flip situation. We had air signs, it was in the water houses. This is happening in air houses for water signs. So this is really speaking to communication for water signs. How do you communicate and express how you're feeling? So like air signs, water signs are being sensitive, so they're going to feel the extent to what we're moving through collectively as well. They're going to take all that on. They're going to take on their individual friends and family struggles as well, because we are seeing people individually struggling too. So they're going to take all that on and kind of wear all of that in their energy. And so this, to me, I get this message of how can you communicate with those you love, with those you care about, your friends, your family, your network, and shift some of that energy and gain some different perspective and just release the weight that you're carrying through communication, through conversation, through talking it out. And I think that's something that's really important for water signs. You can't bottle things up and keep everything inside of you. And we talk a lot about like this image of like, how full is your cup? And if your cup is full, but it's full of heaviness and grief and sadness and hurt, that's not ideal. That doesn't mean you have plenty of stuff and it's all, your cup is running over and you're ready to share with the world. You need to drain that cup. You need to empty that cup before you can refill it with something different. And so to me, this is like, how can you utilize your friendships and your conversations and your connections to kind of drain that cup a little bit? And also too, you can be supportive for other people in that way too. So, if you feel like your friend needs that support as well, you don't have to make it transactional. So it doesn't have to be, oh, this person supported me for 30 minutes. I need to support them for 30 minutes. But, if they need it to be that support system, because that's going to fill your cup back up. You're going to fill your cup up with, wow, I'm so well supported, or that was such a lovely conversation to have. And I feel so much better. And I'm so glad I had that person I can share what I'm moving through with. And that starts to fill your cup up. And that is something you can share with the world. That is something you do want to run over. And so really, how do you release this? Through using that air energy of communication and expression and talking things out. Because you will find that people are probably feeling what you're feeling as well too. And as you transmute your energy, it's going to help people transmute as well. Tier also commented though too, I don't know if you saw her most recent message for the air energy. It's been very disruptive, very disheartening, the collective, spending all my time in nature. And yeah, it's like there's a lot on the table for people. And yeah, I think spending time in nature, the self-care, so key. I think for water signs as well. I think for all signs, self-care is key. I sent out an email. If you're not on my email list, let me know and I'll add you. But I sent out an email yesterday, about like how to care for yourself during this time, because it's so important. And I think water signs equally too need that. And their self-care is looking a little different than air signs, but it's still also kind of the same, because you're still talking to people and sharing how you're feeling. So maybe air signs and water signs need to talk to each other. Because the water signs will give the air signs the depth, and then the air signs will give the water signs that room to release.
Yeah, to breathe. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like all the houses, they're all flipped today,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yes, they kind of are, yeah.
Okay, so let's see what we've got for. This is one shuffle. We've got the azalea for water signs.
Ooh.
And that is all about your wise soul. It's sort of digging deep. Because as you're speaking about them, the cut half full, half, make the overflow and everything else, that reminds me again of the message from today, for this week actually, is the energy of the daffodil, which is all about communication. And it's like we always talk about rivers of love when you're talking about the daffodil, rivers of love flow within us. And it was all about filling it up and letting it overflow so that everybody else can feel this is another thing, your words, your vibration, what it is that you've got to say. And it's, words have powers, they can move mountains, they can do so much. So fill up, communicate, let it overflow, and speak to who you need to be speaking to. And communicate, as you said, to different people, because somebody somewhere is going through what you're going through. And that's the azalea, is that wise soul that's within you. You could be having this message that maybe you should go and speak to such and such, because they'll be able to help you move through what you're going through, because they've been through it before, but you're thinking, well, they did it, that was many years ago, it's also different now. But it is about kind of hearing and paying attention to what you feel within inside you, listening to that intuition, listening to that inner voice. That is the delicate little inner voice that's not bullying you into doing something, it's just saying softly that maybe you need to just go and take that little walk out in nature, gently, rather than going, get out, sort yourself out. There's just this gentle thing that's within you. And this is the azalea reminding you that you have the wisdom, the tools. We're all thinking about what we do now, today's society, in today's world, where we're, social media, this, that, and the other things technologically. But the wiseness is if you go within, and I feel this calling is, some people are doing, and I try and do as much as I can, going out into nature, just sitting amongst the trees. You don't have to hug a tree. You just set an intention that you want to release and just, feel free. There's that air sign, just let everything just flow out. Just go out in nature, do what you feel called to do, because we have those tools. You were saying like self-care. We all have these tools within us. We know what we should be doing, but we're kind of like on this level head, looking around thinking, oh, I should do this, that, and the other. But go within and just pull out the old things that you used to do. Back in the old days, we used to rest on a Sunday. There wasn't a lot of shops open, so let's go back to that old way. Things weren't 24/7, so let's go back to thinking you've got to cut off time. You don't have to go to the shops at 11 o'clock at night just because they're open. Why not, think about the old times where you went, it was 9 to 5, and you had to get your stuff in that time frame, and then you have the evening to relax and chill with people. So it's just really kind of, those is your old wise wisdom. It's like you might have to pull back and go back to thinking in some old ways of doing things, rather than this new fast way that we're all accustomed to.
I think that's a very powerful message, and that's something that, like, I'm a water sign, and my rising's a water sign. So, like, I actually was thinking about it as well too. Like, I was really struggling with the fact that, like, my work week might not be the traditional 40 hours a week plus overtime that people have. And is that totally a bad thing? Like, what if I look at that in a different way? And then you're bringing up this, like, Sundays are for rest. And I spent this past Sunday, it was the most Sunday feeling Sunday I've had in a while. And I spent all of it preparing for the week, doing laundry and cleaning and cooking and things of that nature. And I thought about how my dad talked to me about how this friend of his growing up, very religious, and they refused to do any work on Sunday. So, like, they would prep all their food Saturday, and the only thing they would do is like start a fire, and they would just basically just sit and talk and enjoy the Sunday as this period of rest. And like, we're such a productive oriented society that we have a hard time giving ourselves permission to do that. So the fact that you're bringing that up for the water signs, to me, I think is super important, especially because we're in this Capricorn new moon, which is about career and drive and ambition and hard work and, you know, delayed gratification and all of that stuff. But rest is also self-care, and that helps with the process. You can't if you never take time off, you're going to burn out. You won't be able to build what you need to build. You won't be able to do all that energy. And then with it being an air sign, or air houses the water signs are experiencing, the mind, I was like, what kind of intentions do we set during this time? Because we talked about, you know, talk to your friends and get support, but what kind of intentions can we set? And to me, hearing what you had to say, sorry, I had my phone in charger, and hearing what you had to say, it made me think about the intention of peace of mind. And like, what would it be like to foster your peace of mind and encourage a peace of mind and tend to that? And it might be hard work. It might be hard, especially for water signs. We're full of emotions. We're full of heaviness. We're full of craziness and chaoticness. So like, finding that peace of mind is hard, but if you can do that, that's going to be so helpful. And I think what you're saying about taking time to rest and slow down, like that can really help with the peace of mind when we give ourselves permission. If you don't give yourself permission, you might beat yourself up during breaks. I know I've had that problem where it's like, I mean, at the end of my Sunday, I was like, I want to do work. I want to work. And I'm like, no, you're gonna work tomorrow morning. Just calm down, just rest. And I had to give myself permission, and it was hard. And I think if I didn't have Monday to lean into, I would have probably been like, well, you never work then. Like, why aren't you not working hard enough? And I do. Like, I work all the time. So like, that's not helpful. So that piece, I love that message that you have to share.
Relaxing, taking time out is something people do find hard to do. Because I remember I was doing a healing session with somebody, and I went, oh, how do you feel afterwards? She goes, oh, I feel quite relaxed, but too relaxed. I'm like, relax. That means you're restricting yourself from relaxing. So this is where, if you go out into nature, into the woods, forest, parks, whatever is near you, you can't do anything but relax. You know, set the intention you're going to keep your phone off. Don't even listen to music. Just sit and listen to sounds of nature. And then you're not at home, so that you're not being kind of called to go and do that washing up, or go and pick up that thing, you know, or hoover up, or do a little dusting or anything like that. So it really is set the intention to relax yourself and take them out.
Yeah, which I definitely think is going to be like number one in terms of requirements for all of us is our nervous system is getting to be so shot from all of the stress from both like productivity, but also to what we're moving through, like the collective narrative and everything like that. Like, it's so much stress. So getting out to nature, yoga, meditation, deep breathing, like anything you can do to soothe that nervous system is so helpful. And if you feel like that's hard to do, like it's hard to get out in nature for you, one of the quickest and easiest things you can do is do deep breathing, but make it so your exhale is longer than your inhale, because that triggers, I don't know the technical terms, but that triggers your biology literally to relax your system and to switch into the nervous system where you are not in fight or flight mode. You're not in worry mode. It's just making your exhale a little longer than your inhale. I think that's something we all can do. You can count 3 for inhale and 5 for exhale. And that's something that's accessible.
Just let it all out.
Yeah, even if you're at work or you know, you are busy and you need time to relax, you got that one.
You can also listen to nature sounds as well. Something like nature sounds doesn't have to be trees. It can be, you know, river, thunderstorms. Some people love a thunderstorm. So, you know, and you can have, even if you sit on your laptop or your phone and get the images up, you can still. That's another way of getting yourself out of your headspace. Because I know a lot of people in lockdown think, well, I've got nothing but time. But the time that you've got a lot of thoughts in your head and lots of things that could be coming up for you, that you need to sort of step away from that madness that's going on in there, and, you know, give yourself 10 minutes of 10 minutes of zen. Just look at forest picture of a tree, picture of a flower.
Definitely. I love that. And I feel like that's good for water signs, but also all the signs, whatever your sign is,
everybody
do that for yourself. Yeah, definitely. So are we ready for the last fire signs?
Yes.
Fire signs are probably not usually last. Yes. Usually they're put first because Aries is the the leader of the whole pack, and that's a fire sign. So fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. These guys are expressive and creative and fun. They're very identity oriented, and their beliefs and heart oriented. So they live from that space to be passionate and very creative as well. This is happening in a straightforward manner in your earth houses for you. So this being an earthly new moon, with it being in Capricorn, it's happening in the earth realms as well for fire signs. So when it comes to fire signs, it kind of is like getting into business and getting into the nitty gritty of that kind of work. So your resources you have, your commitment, your self-esteem, your self-worth, which is also a resource. We don't think about our self-worth or self-esteem as being a resource, but it is. It's worth something, right? It's our self-worth. So that's an asset we can nurture too. It is your routine and your organization and your structure. How easily do you move through your week accomplishing what your weekly goals or tasks are? Is it hard? Is it easy? Do you find yourself getting into a point where, one thing I've been finding a lot is people who don't have maybe the best organization system for taking their ideas and channeling them into something, they'll get to a point where they're running into a block and they think it's themselves. They think it's their own ideas. They think it's that fire energy, that creativity, that heart, that self-expression. And it's not. It's just the vehicle needs a little tweaking and shifting and changing to get to the point where it doesn't get blocked anymore, and you're able to go from that light to expressing it and in a smoother manner. So this is might be setting intentions for finding a better routine or organization system of how you take your ideas and channel them into something. Or it can be career and public and future and reputation, like that very traditional Capricorn energy as well. So this energy is happening in these realms for you guys. And so to me, this is really just setting the intentions. It feels very straightforward to just figure out what your intentions are. Where are you seeing a block? Do you feel like you don't have enough resources? Do you feel like you don't have enough access or self-worth? Do you feel like you need to build up the confidence? And it might be all three. Do you feel like you are really needing to find the organization system, find that work structure that works for you? This is also health energy. Is there anything you need to do for your health? We talked about self-care. Do you need to start integrating that into your routine? Maybe halfway through your day, you're feeling really burnt out. And that's the point where your things start to break down. Well, then maybe we need to kind of put in there a rest period, a time to get out, time to go for a walk, a time for, something different. Not just eating so you can keep working or anything like that. That's what I do. I'm like, oh, I'm burnt out. Let me eat some food real quick. And that will give me the energy I need. It doesn't always help.
Yeah.
Or is your intentions, going to be around your future goals? Is it going to be more zoomed out in your bigger plans and what you want? And it could be all three. And if it's all three, I really invite you to use what you've learned about each section so far, but then also do bring in something new and try something new. And so start with the bigger picture. What are your bigger goals? This doesn't have to be, like you said earlier, Yvette, it doesn't have to be 3 to 5 years, right? It can be 90 days. It can be 3 months. It doesn't even have a time frame. Like maybe your bigger goal is just this one thing you want to do. I do suggest picking something that you can actually work on now. So if you have a goal where it's fully in dreaming state, that's good. Dream about it. But pick a goal too that you can do something daily that can help move you towards that, or do something kind of regularly that can move you towards that. So focus on your bigger goals. And then once you have that, go and look at your routines and your resources and ask yourself, what have I already learned about these areas? So I've learned routine-wise, I really don't like X, Y, and Z, but I do really well with this. And then resources-wise, I struggle with this, but I feel like I have a lot of time, or I have a lot of energy, or I have a lot of money, so I maybe don't have the time and energy, but I can hire people to do what I need to do. So figure out what you have, and then from there, ask yourself, what is what can you do with what you have to move you closer to where you want to go, that external, that bigger goal, and kind of lining yourself up for success. And I think that's something that fire signs can really benefit from with this moon, is how do you channel your fire into something intentional? So fire in and of itself is great. It's a great resource, right? But when you can channel fire into heat, so right now I have a heater in my office because it's cold. That's someone built something to channel that electricity, that fire, that heat, and turn it into something that warms me up in a way that can fit into this home. You have an oven, which is heat, it's fire, but it's channeled in a way where it can cook food, and it can, have different temperatures, and you can do something with that differently. So this is kind of this new moon of how can you take your fire and refine it into a tool, into a resource where you can feel like you're producing more than just heart and joy, and you can be kind of proud of what you're doing. With all of that, keeping in mind what we've said so far this entire conversation, which is self-care, rest, balance, you know, de-emphasizing productivity for productivity's sake. We don't want to just cook food constantly with our oven, right? We don't need to do that. We only need to cook food when we're hungry. We only need to cook food to nurture us. And so same thing with productivity. We do want to produce things that reflect our fire, but we don't want to do that just endlessly. We don't want to be a machine for producing things. So really think about with those bigger goals, what are your intentions? And can you balance those intentions with this self-care, this rest, this nurturance, and then fun in other areas as well too. I think it's not just about, I need to relax and rest so I can go back to work again tomorrow, but like what brings you joy outside of what you're working on practically? And can you lean into that a little bit more? And can you make more space for those, those things, and maybe put some more energy behind that as well too, so you have a nice balance between what you want to work on and what brings you joy. And hiccups.
I use that as a cue.
I always talk so fast, I get hiccups every single time. It happens. Or like I'll like do like a little miniature burp, but I get so embarrassed.
So this is quite a nice, interesting one from what you've been saying. We've got the primrose.
Ooh.
That's all about peer pressure. So this, going back to the warrior being your true self, is not coercing to what other people are thinking about you, not worrying about other people say. This is all about you being you, and as you say, what brings you joy. So it's whenever the primrose comes up for anybody, it's always about you doing things the way that you want to do them. It's this whole thing about structure and things like that. That's what's been playing for me for this month. That's my intention, is I want more structure. And I've kind of been working on that, which is really good. And then to do readings for myself, I'm getting to see, you know, they're telling me things. And like one of the things you sort of look at organizations or find resources, and that's what I keep getting told. What resources can help you, you know, or you know, check out somebody that can actually give you some advice and some information on what it is that you want to be doing. So this is that whole thing about finding what kind of lights you up. And that really, as you're speaking there, that took me back to what I've been kind of focusing on, because another one of my messages are pay attention to what you're seeing. We are showing you signs, and you've been ignoring for months, and now, you know, this is one of the messages we're giving you, pay attention. And I have been focused on, like, I don't know if you saw the pictures I posted up of the sun. I was really drawn into the sun. It just felt like this ball of fire, and as I was following it around the park when I was walking around, it just appeared like through, it was on this side and the bush was here. So I was looking through this bush, through the trees, it just looked like there was a fire inside that. So there was this lot of emphasis on the solar plexus and keeping that fire burning. And one of the messages I've got along with it is this, you know, relight the fire that's within you, you know, set fire to this flame, keep that burning. So you saying, going back to what you're thinking of, to go back to some thoughts, doesn't have to be the long-term plans. For every long-term plan, there are steps within it. So you got to beef it out. You know, you cooking a meal, there's ingredients that you need to make this full meal. So you know what you want to accomplish. If it's spaghetti bolognese, you know there's lots of things that's going to go inside that. So you've got your main dish, but what are you going to add to make it? So this is where you got to, you know, what makes you happy. Just because other people may use oregano or basil, you don't have to. You could just use a bag of mixed herbs. So it's about what you want to do. Don't get led by what other people are telling you that you should be doing. You do what makes you happy, what makes you go fuzzy inside, or what makes you feel alive, like a big ball of fire that you're just so excited about what it is you're doing. So it's really, you know, this whole Waratah, whole fire thing. We're a fire sign, aren't we? So we want to set everybody alight. We want to set ourselves alight. Just gleam and beam with what we truly want to do, what we really, our way. And we was talking about this earlier on, wasn't it? So what is it that you kind of, what's different from you to other people? And that's again back to my penguins and their songs of love. We're all vibrating on this different frequency. So everyone, you know, stick to, not like stay in your lane, but what makes you really resonate, what makes you really vibrate. not what makes you just get a little tingle because you want to be you. So you want whatever makes you really vibrate and feel really high.
I love that. I love the metaphor you said too about like with the spices you're adding to what you're cooking. And that actually brought up something too that I think is important, is to taste as you go, and applying that to the root, like the practicality of things, the goals, the structure that you're kind of trying on for size. Taste as you go. And if you try on a routine and it's not working perfectly, adjust. What does it need more of? What does it need less of? Is it something you can kind of play with? I think sometimes we can get really set in the fact that if like we're trying on something new, it has to work perfectly right away and it has to work forever. So like whenever we try on a new habit, it's like, okay, that habit needs to stay forever. And I think we'd get a lot further with what we want if we are more flexible with where we're at and how we're responding to something, because something might really work in one time period and then not in another. And so if we can taste as we go, as we're cooking, we can be more responsive to when we need to add in some more. I love how you say basil instead of basil. I love
Yeah, do you know what? We go oregano, but for some reason I was trying to do it so that you guys say it completely different. Yeah. So it kind of like amalgamation of both.
Yes, love it. But yeah, so you can kind of like play with it and tweak as you go. I think that's something that like for me, and I have a moon water sign and it's in my house of routines. I have a moon water sign. I have a fire moon. There we go. My moon is a fire sign in my house of routines. And like that's been the biggest thing for me, is like track a habit to see how I relate to it, but don't track it so I am consistent and perfect in compliance with it. So like use that measuring to understand my relationship. And then if I can adjust from there, that's been the most helpful. And you might find that you keep the habit, but you add something different. Or like I was talking to you and I was talking to a friend of mine, how yesterday was a day where I was trying on a new routine. And I started to resent it a lot. And that was because I was missing out on the gratitude for the fact that I could have this routine. And this is what I was filling my time with. And as soon as I added that, I changed how I felt about what I was doing. And so you might add just a little bit of gratitude or a little bit of self-esteem or trust or relaxation. So you might add those kind of themes, or you might change like actual, well, maybe instead of doing this on Monday, I'm gonna do that on Wednesday, or, you know, changing like scheduling. So there's practical and then there's energetic shifts I think you can make. I love that. What was the name of the flower again for fire? I remember the message, but not the name of the flower.
Oh, the primrose.
Primrose. Okay, I thought so. Okay, cool.
I'll never get it right. There, I'm in lens.
All right, so that is our elements for this new moon in Capricorn, one where we all get to set intentions for what we're trying to build in different ways. So we had, you know, the earth and the fire signs. Those are really about like who you are and how you can support that. And the air and the water signs are more about like how can you process things and deal with how you're feeling around things. But everybody can set intentions for what they want for the future, with that caveat of Pluto being here, of doing the shadow work, releasing the fears. You mentioned the let go of the peer pressure for, I think, fire signs. So like really releasing as much as you can, as you said, these intentions. Yeah, definitely. I think when it comes to Capricorn, when it comes to goals, we really want to make sure we're working towards something that will be fruitful. And I think that's the biggest risk with Capricorn, is like, what if we're investing in something that might not actually manifest? But the more we can live authentically and live our truth and ask yourself, does this really resonate? Like you said, like your penguin song, does this really make my heart sing? And if it doesn't, then ask yourself, is it because of peer pressure? Am I doing something different? Or is it doubt? I don't believe in, you know, what I can or want to do. And if you can align with that soul song, I think that will really go a long way. I think we have our soul songs for a reason. So. All right. Do we have any questions or comments here at the end?
I'm going to check over on that other.
And then if you haven't already, go follow Yvette. I believe I put up here, so above us in the video, there's a spiritual flower lady. That's her Facebook page. She also has a group called Green Stems. Hopefully she'll put a link to that either now or when we're done afterwards. You can go join her group where she shares insight weekly, monthly, daily, all these kind of cool stuff to help you bring in more energy of the flowers. And then you're all invited too. So I have an email list that that's one of my Capricorn goals this year, is to strengthen my email list and my connections to you guys off of social media only. So if you're invited to join that, I send out an email every single Monday with updates on Know Your Vibes astrology, on the astrological energy, and whatever I think you guys need for this time period. I also do moon calendars. So I'm trying out something new, seeing how you guys like it, where it's a way to track how you're feeling under each moon sign, so that you can start to know, okay, well, Capricorn moons, I feel this way, or Gemini moons, I feel that way. So you can start to kind of understand what to expect during different energies, and how to kind of utilize them to your advantage. That's something that I'll be sending out a new one for February soon. We sent out January 1 as well. If you want that and you don't mind starting in the middle of the month, let me know. I'll send that to you. But I'll add the link to join the email list down below as well too. And
it's
then
quite detailed, your calendar moon.
Is it? Okay.
Thingy.
Yes.
I find it's quite detailed.
Good.
That
makes me happy to hear. Yeah, I have on there like descriptions of what each moon sign means, the times that the moon changes, and then a spot for you to write a couple of lines for how it's feeling. And then we got some messages from Tier. She said, interesting, I was looking at an African violet a couple of days ago. So she's already feeling that energy. The African violet is showing up for her, ready to go. Thank you both for your knowledge and time. Thank you everybody who joined us.
Joining us.
We are doing, I think that's some spam right there. Someone's inbox. Yeah, that's some spam. But yeah, we're gonna be doing this every full moon and new moon. We'll alternate between my page and Yvette. So we'll do the spiritual flower lady. I think it's gonna be in full moons if we keep our balance and our pacing. If you're on the email list, I let you know the day of when we're going live as well too, so you can join. So this is something, if you like this and you want to keep up with this kind of energy, feel free to join us every 2 weeks or so, because we'll be here doing this.
And so we're going to create an event so that you can see what's going on. If you follow either one of our pages, you'll be able to see in the event section that we are going to do. We might be a little bit late because that seems to be a little fashion, but then, you know, we are who we are, being our unique selves. So do bear with us if we are. But if you do watch the replay, do, you know, at this point, say hi or let us know if any of the messages, you know, resonate with you in any way. If you want to know a bit more about flowers or deeper astrology, then just leave a message and we'll get back to you guys.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, now I got to figure out how to